There are typically 5 homeschool costs, and we're going to talk about them in this video and ways to save on each of them, and we're starting right now. Everybody, my name is Karen. Welcome back to our channel called Our House, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. If you'd like to go from questions to confidence when it comes to homeschooling, I'm here to answer questions. And we're talking about today the 5 typical costs associated with homeschooling, but we're also going to talk about ways that you can save on each of them. All right, so let's just jump right in. Number 1, the big one, is curriculum. Obviously, this is where most homeschoolers spend a lot of money. Now, the LDA has reported that average costs are between $300 to $600 per student per year. Now, obviously, this can vary depending on you. For example, the Robinson curriculum is only $199 for the whole family for K through 12, plus the cost of your Saxon math books. There are a lot more affordable options out there, but that is the typical average cost. Now, ways that you can save, I already mentioned the Robinson curriculum, but there's also Khan Academy, which is completely free. Now, it's not a complete, comprehensive curriculum, but there are a ton of videos on there that you can watch for free. Also, you can buy used. I made a video on Covenant Homeschool Resource Center here in the area that, boy, they just have things at a discounted price and you can save a lot of money. Also, you can join a co-op. Sometimes they have discounted curriculum. You can split the cost with the family. If you're getting maybe one of those packages where it has multiple grades in it and another family would only use the first grade part and you'd use the third grade part, that's something that you can consider doing. You can also rent curriculum. I don't know if you know about this because I didn't, but there is a place called Yellow House Book Rental where you can rent curriculum, so you can kind of try it out before you buy it if it's a good fit. Because let's be honest, the majority of costs with homeschooling, and we are all guilty of this, is that we buy a whole lot of different curriculum because you have to try it out to see if it will work for your family, and then it doesn't work out, and then we either feel like we have to stick with it because we made such an investment, or then we just have it sitting on our shelves and then we keep purchasing new things. Number 2 is supplies and equipment. Now, the Huffington Post put out this number that typically on average, parents that are sending their kids to public school are still spending about $1,017 to send a child back to school in yearly supplies, because now they're requiring parents to also contribute towards classroom supplies such as tissues and glue and crayons and things like that, which is just mind-blowing to me because they already get so much money from the state, from the government, for each child. I think it's up to like $12,000 now, and they're still requiring parents to purchase all these supplies, which is just crazy to me. But anyhow, when you're homeschooling, you are going to have some costs. We all still hit up the back to school specials for the notebooks and the pencils and different supplies like that. But again, you can really save on this by going to those sales, for example. And when it comes to the Robinson curriculum, you really only need paper and pencils. That's pretty much it. So you can save a lot of money in this area. Number 3 is field trips. For a lot of parents, this is something that's really important. They want to get out there, go to the museums, go to the zoo, enrichment activities, and it is a great, wonderful thing. Now, how can you save money on this? Well, for example, our family of 8 has POGO passes, and I'm a big supporter of this. I signed up to be an affiliate with them, and I will leave my link in the comments below if you want to check it out. It's not available in every city, only a few, but you pay a once-a-year fee for each pass member, and you have access to all of these great venues, not just once, but sometimes multiple times. Maybe a couple times a year for the big ones, and even things like bowling and miniature golf every week. Ice skating is on there. We have all kinds of museums, the zoo, sports venues, and so it pays for itself typically on just the first outing that we do with that pass. So that's one way that you can save money, but there's also others. You can just call up your post office to do a local tour, or your grocery store, fire departments. Lots of places like this will do tours for homeschoolers. Number 4 is extracurricular activities, and this is something like community sports or music lessons, art classes, 4-H club, things like that. This is another area of cost for parents. But again, this is something that you could be smart with and you can save a lot of money. For example, the library has a ton of great events for the public that are free, from things from STEM-related activities to meeting the authors. I've seen writing workshops, all of these things that are free. So definitely check out your library program of events. I know how expensive it is for large families to do sports or PE, but you can look at things like the Boys and Girls Scouts clubs, where I think by the age of 13, their membership is free, so they can be involved in sports for free. Also, with the local recreation departments in your cities, they have oftentimes more affordable sports programs, gymnastics, karate, things like that. So that's something to check out. For art classes, I like something like Skillshare, where you're just paying maybe $100 membership per year, but you have unlimited number of classes. You can do watercolor and drawing. There's so many classes on there, not just art, but anything you can imagine. So that's really an affordable way to go, especially if you have a large family. My friend just recently launched her online piano academy called Church Mouse Piano Academy, and she has really tailored this to be friendly for large families where multiple children can share one session. So that's something that you can check out. There's options like that. Look around in your community, your resources online. You might be surprised that there are a lot of ways that you can save money on this. Now, I do want to cut in here with a little disclaimer to be careful not to overschedule the child. We see kind of an epidemic of this, I think, when it comes to families just overscheduling their children. They don't want to ever let them just be bored. They always want to fill up their time, always doing something. So that danger could also happen with homeschool students. So I want to kind of give you some questions to ask yourself when you're planning your extracurricular activities. And that is, number one, does this activity support the values that I consider are most important? That's something that you want to ask yourself. Number two, what are the long-term benefits of this activity? Number three, does it correspond to my child's natural abilities and talents? I wouldn't want to spend money and waste time on a child who maybe is more art inclined to force them to do 4-H, or someone who's really great at piano and I'm forcing them to do all these STEM related activities. Obviously you want a well-rounded child, but if you're making an investment, consider the natural abilities of the child, if this would be enjoyable for them and for the family. Something else to ask yourself is, how often does it meet, and does it really infringe on my family time? For example, for us, anything that meets on Wednesday afternoon is not going to happen because we go to Wednesday night church, or Sundays. Sundays are sacred. There would be no activities planned for that day. How much does this cost? And last but not least is, how far from home? If it's something where you're driving really far, it might not be worth it. If there's a lot of out-of-town travel to get to these events, it might not be worth it. And the last thing I want to talk about, number 5, is loss of income. Yes, this is a cost often associated with homeschooling. One parent will have to stay home unless you work from home or you have some kind of creative solution, and maybe a grandparent or somebody else who is homeschooling your child. But typically they need somebody there with them. They need somebody to guide them, oversee the house. They need somebody there with them, obviously, homeschooling them. But I want to encourage you that it is a very wise sacrifice, a wise investment in your children. And if you've not seen, and if you haven't watched it already, I encourage you to check out my 10 health benefits for homeschooling parents. And you'll see that those things are really priceless. They're things that no amount of money or other income can buy. So I really want to encourage you with that. And there are ways that you can maybe still make a little money from home. And I encourage you to watch the 2 episodes that I did over at Gently Led Sisters. It's a great show here on YouTube every Monday night. Great for encouragement for women. And I was on 2 episodes there talking about different ways that you can make money from home. And this is not talking about MLM companies or babysitting. These are totally different ways that you can make a little bit of money from home, if that will help with the transition or just continuing to homeschool. All right, so that is it for this video on the 5 costs of homeschooling and how you can save on them. And again, it's worth it. It's just worth the sacrifice. It's worth the cost, because the end result is something that money just can't buy. If you have any questions on this, please leave them in the comments below. Or if you have another resource that I didn't mention in this video, please comment so that we can all learn about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.